Hi, everybody. Welcome to the SWAN Fireside Chat for May 5th, 2020. My name is Aaron Skog. I'm the SWAN Executive Director, broadcasting from home, all of our homes, more than likely, although some of you may be in your office. We're going to go over a number of things since our Fireside last week. Landscape is constantly shifting. One of the things that we're going to have to roll with is the fact that we have switched our online meeting platform from what was called GoToMeeting to GoToWebinar. So Dawn created a few helpful slides here just to note that this online tool does have a dock that if you click on that little orange arrow, it will sideline it. If you happen to have two monitors and you're fortunate for that, you can slide the dock around and keep everything on one screen. If you need a lot of screen real estate, which I assume a lot of you do, you may want to take advantage of the dock. So let's go over topics for today. I thought I'd do a recap of what I shared last week at the committee of the whole meeting, and I touched on it at the last Fireside, which was a written plan for what SWAN is calling its reopening plan. And today I'm just gonna make sure to cover phases 1 and 2. We like to do an action recap, which is all the actions that have taken place probably since the week prior and a summary of other actions to date. So we will also be touching on libraries with their planned reopening and want to share with you what is going on with that. And we've done a lot of work since the last Fireside, also in the areas of preparedness training and sourcing for PPE. And then we'll touch on extending due dates or holds configuration and enterprise, and some changes we made in the community forums that we hope you'll like. And then we'll close with an overview of our Expo web series. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so when I was working on a plan for SWAN, I was really looking at a lot of your library plans, and your library plans, for the most part, were following a certain blueprint. And the blueprint I thought was a very good one to model SWAN's plan on. So it was mostly around the idea that your reopening would occur in phases, and the phases would be condition dependent, not as much as date driven, although there are dates such as the executive order from the governor that we have to work within. But many libraries are going to not necessarily all reopen at the same time. So the best way to have kind of created this plan was to look at the first phase, which is the current phase we've been in, which is more or less an accounting of all the things that we had to do as members of SWAN and libraries and SWAN staff, all the actions that had taken place in phase 1, and then begin outlining for you all as we're moving into what I think is a clear sign that phase 2 is starting for many libraries, which is starting over the next few weeks, which is libraries providing curbside, some home delivery, having limited hours, making sure that they've acquired a lot of PPE for staff, and continuing virtual services. So this does mean that there are some changes that we have to make, and we did issue an online web form that we called a survey last week to help you tell us if when you're looking to do these changes, and these are some of the changes, at least in phase 2, that we're looking to make, which would be adjusting patrons being able to place requests, due dates are extended per library based on your reopening plan, but a number of the things that we said in phase 1 just don't change, such as patron notifications by email, text, or SVA system, and OCLC still set as a non-supplier. So I just wanted to make sure to note, you're going to hear us kind of use the shortcut of saying we're now moving into phase 2, and this is what it is that we're talking about.
And just as a reminder, we know that not everyone will be at phase 2 at the same time. We're looking at our SWAN readiness to support phase 2 libraries. We know a lot of us are going to stay in phase 1 a lot longer and aren't considering reopening or curbside, and that's perfectly fine too. We want to accommodate what you all need. So this is just kind of an action recap of what happened this past week. We put in the configuration settings immediately after Fireside last week that only local holds will be allowed. So if your library does not own that title, your patron's going to be stopped from placing a hold. Any holds already in the system will stay there. They'll kind of be in limbo if you don't have the title to fulfill that hold. With the web form survey that we put out last week, that's also how we're hoping you can communicate with us if you are going to be offering curbside. And then that response goes into our ticketing system, which then triggers us updating your days closed and making sure that your holds are unsuspended so you can start providing those services. Another thing that we've provided, and this was a question at the Fireside last week, is how will I know what items, or what I should say, what titles my patrons have holds, but we don't have that title. So that hold is going to sit there until delivery resumes and we go back to our resource sharing model. So we do have in the COVID-19 holds folder in Blue Cloud Analytics, active holds by user library. And you can use this report to assess the need for purchase, verifying whether your patrons are still interested and if items are still remaining in the hold queue. So we will continue to provide those tools for you to make it easier for you to assess what you need as you move through just handling this new model. Going from facilitating resource sharing to shutting it down has caused many of us to kind of stand on our head to think, because it is a different model and it's been a little challenging for all of us, but we're working through it, we think. So just as a reminder, as Aaron said, he's relying on those library plans to kind of help refine the SWAN reopening plan. The reopening considerations is a discussion in our forums, and any plans that are shared either in our forums or through the ticketing system, we are putting on the COVID-19 information page under reopening plans. So we want to make sure that plans are shared amongst all of our colleagues and we can learn and kind of modify. We know these are going to be modified too. So if your plan changes, let us know. We'll replace the one that's out there.
And I know Rails also, Dawn, has been also sharing plans. So we don't mean to have anyone look at this as double work. We're just trying to make sure that we got a kind of a one-stop shop for member libraries. If you're haven't worked on a plan or you're looking to start one or looking for inspiration, we've been collecting the ones that have been shared with us.
Okay, so if your library is going to be starting curbside, start with your March hold shelf. Get that completely cleared. Determine if the patrons are still interested. If they are, check out that material to your patron. Have them be the first people to take advantage of your curbside. So you want to get all of that existing March information taken care of. You're not going to check those items in. Instead, you're going to check them out to the patron. If the patron no longer wants the item, then you will check those items in and either reshelve or return it to another library. And of course, return it to another library at this point in time means sorting it into an owning library box because it's going to be quarantined. And at this point in time, there's no need to label those specific items until delivery resumes. So those can just be stored away, sorted by library. Vicki, you got anything to add to this? Vicki's
Nope.
our resident expert in here.
You've got it set.
All right.
All good.
Oopsies. All right, Aaron, you want to share some of these results?
Sure. So what we were looking at as far as the libraries that are looking to offer curbside, those that have been responding to the web form that we shared last week after the Fireside, it was we've at least are now seeing that 11 libraries have indicated that they're looking to offer curbside. Within our form, we were suggesting turn-on dates for SWAN to do this work on the Tuesday of the week so that you would be going live on a Wednesday. We floated the idea at our last Fireside about maybe perhaps Wednesday being a really good day to start. And I know many of you within your own discussions that you're having with your board and staff are trying to land on an appropriate date, but just to get started, we wanted to at least start having some suggested dates so that we can coordinate on our end that all the changes that need to be made on your behalf in the system will occur kind of in an orderly fashion. So these are some of the dates that we're looking at, going all the way out through June. So this is not to put pressure on anyone that you need to, pick a date or you're going to miss out. This is just more so that we can be organized and help you as we're implementing your curbside. So Dawn, I don't know if you want to add anything here about that.
Yeah, just when you are going to offer curbside, go ahead and fill that out. If you're not going to offer curbside, you don't need to at this point in time, but there is a no question. So if you say no, we know that you're not offering curbside. And you can submit this again in the future. Like, let's say now the answer is no. And then, 2 months down the road, you decide you're going to offer curbside. You could certainly come in and we will adjust these things. Also wanted to mention, we did get a few questions about what if I say I'm going to offer curbside on May 12th, and that kind of puts you in line for what we need to do on the SWAN side. But then I decide I'm not going to do it till the following week. Is there a problem? No, there isn't a problem. Just know that you really can't offer curbside until we update your days closed and unsuspend your holds, because there's going to be nothing waiting there for you to actually process. So if you open up, quote unquote, open up, not really open up, earlier than you're offering that curbside service, those holds will just stay there waiting for you to process whenever you have staff and are ready to do that. So there's no real problem if you get a wrong date. Don't worry, it's not going to cause anything adverse. It's not going to look really any different to your patrons. They will see that their holds are no longer suspended, but they'll still just be sitting there waiting for you to pull them and fill. Okay, so fine free for now. We do have some libraries that were interested in we got the wrong graphic here. I'm not sure what happened. We do have quite a few libraries that were interested in fine free for now, and we have been implementing those as we get them. Also, Vicki and Crystal created a video that goes through. It's only 8 minutes, so it's not real lengthy. It tells you exactly what you need to know for the fine free for now options, and that is on the website, and you can go through that and then determine if that's going to be something you want to implement if and when you do have a limited opening. Okay. You want to talk about PPE, Aaron, and I'll switch over.
So the committee of the whole meeting that we had, we did go over a survey as far as interest from libraries in PPE and various supplies. So we used our committee of the whole meeting to then take steps to essentially start putting together a dedicated page that lists as many suppliers as we're able to find that have been suggested. So on the SWAN support site, if you click on the COVID-19 link at the top, this brings up a lot of information, and we've been including new pages such as the personal protective equipment, PPE, and supplies. So I have also then gone into our SWAN forums and tried to alert everyone in the forums. This is now up if you want to look at supplies or inquiring about supplies. So in terms of where SWAN is at, I am still looking into wherever it makes sense to have some maybe bulk purchases made on behalf where buying in bulk gets us a savings. I'm still looking into that, such as the face guards is one where there were some savings. And those are ones that we will make sure that we have stocked for you. So SWAN at some point in the next week will probably be announcing its own curbside service, meaning for you all, once we have some supplies available for you all, if you would like to acquire at least the face guards, and we're looking at a hand sanitizer as a good place to start. But there are quite a few pieces of information in here. This Rails member discount is one where we downloaded the PDF available, and there is a source for a lot of PPE products through the Team One, such as being able to get gloves, hand sanitizer, various masks. And so I wanted to just note that, you know, this is available in the Rails site, but we included just make sure to have the PDF and the list of all the items and some of the pricing involved in that. So the hand sanitizer is the one here that I'm going to be looking at, just to make sure SWAN begins stockpiling this for you all, because the main thing that is of concern, at least for me, is if once you start these services, you're going to be really dependent on making sure you have a steady supply line.
Yeah, and Rails has done a really good job by getting that critical PPE listed from this Team One. So do look at the Team One deal. The delivery is direct to you, so you can email library@callteam1.com and get what you need to make sure that you have all of the safety in place for your staff when you do reopen for limited service. All right, let me head back to the slides.
Okay. So this page is all new. You didn't see this last Fireside. This is all now up. Oh, and these videos are fun. John, I'll let you talk about them with the staff that helped create them.
Yeah, so thanks to Sam and Ian for creating a series of 3 workshops. I was very hesitant at the COW meeting last week when we got a question, when would this training be available? And knowing that I had just given a heads up to Sam and Ian the night before, hey, I think we need to produce those. I said, well, maybe next week. They had them ready and recorded, and they are now available to view on the website. These 3 training class tutorials are like 5 to 8 minutes each, so total is 20 minutes of your staff time to go through those. The first one is preparing for reopening. That's making sure that you have everything you need for being sure that staff and patrons are safe and that you are ready to start quarantining material. So you have a process in place to do that. The second tutorial is on material quarantine process, and it just goes through a step-by-step process of how to deal with material. Again, it's a common baseline that we can all follow. It gives you a way to train all of your staff. You're going to have to fill in some details, but hopefully this gets you started. And then the third one is, if you're doing curbside, what do we recommend for how to process that material and make it available. So let me just do my little jumping around my jumping jelly beans here, going back to the COVID-19 page. And where these trainings are under the staff preparedness training. And within the materials processing, there's also talking about if you've got an AMH, what you need to do regarding that too. So hopefully we've got things covered here that you will need to get your staff trained and ready to start working in this new world. All right, we're going to try an experiment now. We're going to try a poll. I've never done a poll, so you are my guinea pigs. We have received requests. We were kind of keeping everybody's due dates and hold suspensions and everything the same while we were all closed. Well, now that individual decisions are being made at the library level of when you're going to reopen for curbside, or if you're not, if you want to extend due dates, we want to make sure that we are accommodating that. So we will be sending out a web form to allow you to further customize what you want your due dates to be. So just, this isn't an official poll, but we'd like you to just indicate, would you like to extend your due dates past the current June 3rd date? Give us an idea of what you're all thinking, and that just is going to help us kind of gauge. This will be another kind of Monday configuration change that we make. So on Mondays, we have a set list of things that we're taking care of for people that are going to limited service, people that want their due dates changed, and we can make all of that stuff happen kind of systematically. So we'll give you guys a couple more minutes and then I'll close that poll and share it. So we've got 32% of you have voted. You can vote. Everybody can vote. Doesn't matter. It's not one vote, one library. Everybody can vote. This is just to get a sense for where everybody's thinking. All right, when we get past 50% of the people voted, I'm going to go ahead and share that poll. Okay, so now you can see that about 28% want to extend to June 15th. We'll get this web form out by the end of the week. So as soon as you guys fill it out, what we will do is schedule that change. We will make that change for your library. And we've got 19% June 22nd, 29th about the same. So we're all kind of staggering, and we do see the need for those individual dates. So look for that coming later this week, and we'll get your due dates extended to meet your schedule.
Thanks, Don, for the poll.
Mm-hmm. It worked. Yay!
It did work, yeah.
All right, Erin, you want to talk a little bit about curbside and what we're thinking now?
Yes, so this is probably maybe the third time that we've shared at least this slide as far as where curbside sort of as just a concept works. Unique Management has shared a offshoot, I think, built on a lot of what they've already created for services to libraries, and it's a tool called Curbside Communicator. So I have been in communication with Unique yesterday and today to find out more about pricing for SWAN. And it would be something that I would like, at least for the idea that SWAN would be able to provide a tool to any of the libraries that are looking at curbside and need a communication tool. So Unique is I would just say, is a very is a trusted partner with SWAN. We've been using them for all of our printed notices, and right now, I would just say, if we're looking at adding curbside communicators at an expense for the time being for SWAN member libraries to have available when you're ready, and have SWAN pick up the tab on that. You're wondering, how could SWAN afford this? Just remember, there's no notice printing going on right now, so there's just no associated expense with that. So really, the way I'm looking at this is that many of you are looking at needing, you need a tool to be able to do some text notification with your patrons in a curbside scenario. And I thought, if I can just have something ready to go for member libraries, and it's just a matter of getting you set up and going, and then we can look at long-term what this tool means for member libraries. So this would basically be something that we could just work out with Unique, work on getting you set up and going. So I don't have everything nailed down just yet. We are looking at Unique to provide some videos and some webinars for everyone on what this tool will look like. So I don't have that for you today, but I just wanted to share with you my thinking on this. Just for board member president, I did run this idea past board president Ted Davis yesterday, just to say, does this make sense, considering the fact that the annual expense of notice printing and the monthly expense, I would say, of notice printing has just basically fallen to zero, and our budget can support it, and if it can really benefit you all, it's something I would like to be able to do. So Dawn, I don't know if anything you want to add here about this
Well, we
tool
did get
itself.
a question. Can Unique use languages other than English? Remember, this is just a messaging system which enables you through the web to look at that. So whatever message you're sending out, the patron's receiving. So if you are sending out messages, pickup notices, whatever, bilingually, you can certainly do that. Yeah, and the reason the timing was perfect when we got the announcement that Unique was offering this. We were actually looking at services like this, and we were getting kind of responses from companies like, oh, that model doesn't really fit with our curbside, more retail model. And we also know that libraries are looking at alternatives as well. So if we can provide something that we're all using a common platform, and we can work with one vendor to make sure it's all working, I think it will make certainly all of our coordinated efforts a little easier.
Yeah, this would not necessarily be a requirement. If your library has figured out or wants to go with another solution, that's entirely fine. I'm just looking at something right now for the libraries that need curbside. I wanted to have you all to have an option.
Yeah, and Frank asks a really good question. Don't we already have a text message feature within workflows? Yes, we do. We can let patrons know. In fact, we include that as part of our workflow when you're checking out to curbside, that you look at the SMS message settings, and if they do have a preference for SMS, you can immediately send them a message saying, we have just processed your items for pickup. However, what is lacking is the way for the patron to contact us back. And this is the part that we need, is number 3. Hey, I'm here. Where's my stuff? And that's what Unique is providing us. They're providing us, kind of the patron tells us they're here, and we can then get the stuff in their trunk. All right, Tara, you want to talk about what's going on with messaging in?
I'll turn off my camera.
Sure. So your enterprise profiles have been updated. If you are, for everyone, the hold messages have been updated. You'll see that little pop-out in the bottom right of your screen there says hold not allowed. Holds are allowed for titles at your home library only at this time until delivery between libraries resumes. So that's just to let patrons know if they're maybe not if your library is not their home library, they're not going to be able to place holds on anything in your collections. And then for patrons that might be looking um, for items from other libraries that they won't be able to get those at this time. I should also say all of your enterprise profiles have been updated so that they are defaulting to search your library's items only. So unless your patrons change that default search limit setting, they're only going to see items that they're able to place holds on, assuming, of course, that they're also using their home library catalog, which some patrons may not be doing. But we've done our best to try to alert patrons that that those holds aren't available. I wish we could hit them over the head a little more and kind of style that message with icons or something to better alert them, but unfortunately we're not really able to do anything special for the holds not allowed versus the successful hold message. So any styling we do has to be for both, unfortunately. But hopefully that will be clear to patrons. The other thing is if you do request curbside pickup, we've got a default banner ready to go. I know our IT and system support staff have gotten a few of those scheduled for some of the libraries that might be going live with curbside this week. So that will also appear for you if you do go live with curbside. And there's also a banner for now alerting all of your patrons that holds are only available on your home library items.
And we do have a question that I think you answered, Tara, but just to reiterate, these messages, the blue messages you're seeing on the screen, can they be customizable by library? And
yes.
Okay.
That answer is yes. Yeah. So, and they're all actually custom. Even if you use the standard language, that Learn More link is set up to be a link to your library's website. So you can request customizations to that language. We do discourage any very timely information, just because keep in mind we've got almost 100 libraries to maintain these for. So things like dates, we just kind of discourage keeping it, trying to encourage you to keep it as generic as possible in the enterprise banner and have that link out to your website, have kind of all of those details like numbers to text and hours and dates and things like that that will probably be very be in flux for a while.
And kind of related to that message, the actual message on the pop-up window for placing a hold cannot be customizable by library. In fact, we don't have a lot of customizable features for that. We can do a little bit, but not a lot. So we could not provide a link to a purchase request from that pop-up.
No, yeah, unfortunately not. But as Dawn mentioned earlier, there are reports available that can help you in deciding on some of those purchases. And obviously you can include a purchase form on your library website. The page that your enterprise banner links out to could also include, just kind of those important points about curbside pickup and requesting something that is not available.
Oh, another question, Tara. Let's go back here. So while the scope is to my local library, can patrons still search by all libraries? They just can't place hold if it's not owned by their home library, correct?
Yes, that is correct. We have not disabled the ability to search by all libraries. It is just not the default.
All right. Any other questions coming in regarding enterprise searching Holds configuration. Usually holds configuration can be a whole hour discussion on its own. So, all right, let's talk forums.
Great. So if you've visited the forums this week, you'll notice a few changes. We have simplified the categories. We were seeing that it was just kind of confusing. We had a lot of subcategories under each category, and it was a little confusing, like where do I put what? So we simplified those categories, which has in turn made it easier to set your email notifications by category. So you see on the screenshot on the right, if you click into any of the categories, cataloging, COVID-19, e-resources, you can click on that little bell icon in the very far right corner of the screen and choose your update settings. So we're also hearing, people weren't getting emails. So this will allow you to a little bit more easily customize your settings. So there's a couple options, and I'll just kind of go through them briefly, but you can also think on it before you choose your settings and visit our documentation on the SWAN support site that talks about these also. So for each category, you can the default is to just get mentions. So that's if someone kind of includes your forums account name, and there's not a ton of that happening on our forums. So likely you would not get any email if you leave that option. And that might be the option that you want to keep for the categories you're not interested in. For those categories that you are interested in getting email updates and following a little more closely, our recommended setting is new topics. That will give you an email notice for any new topics posted. So for example, on this COVID-19 category, when someone posted the curbside service topic, you would get an initial email for that, but all of the replies that come after that, you would not get all of those emails. So we kind of think for a lot of people that will be sort of the Goldilocks, like best possible setting for you, but not too much email, just the right amount. But if you do really want all the updates, then you can subscribe to all the updates, and you'll get an email for every single reply, every topic in that category. So that kind of is a good way to curate, make sure you're getting the emails for what you want, but not getting emails for maybe things that you're not super interested in. And then there are two other options. You can mute a category if you don't want to get anything, or you can sign up for mentions and post counts, which just means in your forums account, you'll see like a little count of the number of posts for a topic on that home screen or in your account. Honestly, it's not super obvious, so that's kind of one that I don't think is super useful personally. Another way to manage your settings, everyone signed up by default when you get an account for this activity summary, and that will show popular topics. So it's not going to include everything, and it may not include the things that you're most interested in. It's just the stuff that gets the most reads and most replies on the forums. So you can disable that if you would rather set up your preferences yourself by category, or you can leave that enabled, and you could even set it up to be as frequent as daily or as infrequent as monthly.
So Tara, I'm going to bounce over to the forums because I think sometimes seeing it live helps. So you want to walk through what we're seeing and guide me how I should be updating my notifications?
Yeah, so the easiest way is probably just to click on a category. So say acquisitions or COVID-19, either one, and just click on that little bell in the corner. And there you can set your preferences for that category. If you want to mass update a bunch at once, that is possible. It's just a little weird to get to. So click on your user icon and then your username right there.
This is the part that I never remember. Click on your name.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a button at all, and then preferences. And from here, you've got a couple more options. So you can click categories, And if you, I think Dawn, yours are all set up, but if you click on that search there, you'll have the option to add a couple other categories there. So you'll get a little drop down and you can just kind of mass select the categories you're interested in. And then if you go to emails in that same preferences menu, that's where you can set your activity summary. So yeah, you could even set one for every 30 minutes, which
Wait.
might be a little intense.
All right, any questions on forums?
I do see one comment that someone didn't get an activation email, so we'll take a look at that.
I think that there are definitely maybe local library issues, either they're aggressive spam or like Barracuda or systems like that that may be nabbing these and not reaching staff. So even if they're not getting it in spam, I think some of our staff like Dave Payson and others might be able to provide some options for folks to get signed up. Considering, you know, we've got over 340 something users now in the forums, I think it's working for the bulk of the users. Just maybe a few libraries where it's not.
In this little bubble, you can quickly visually see where there are topics that I haven't read, so I could go right in and read those if I wanted to.
There's a couple problems or a couple questions posted. Tiffany just wanted to remind us not our L2 login. You do have to request a separate login. Unfortunately, it's not this forum site is not connected to L2 in any way. And then another person, Victor, asked how we got there. Dawn, do you want to show where this is linked from the SWAN support site?
Sure.
It's under the members menu, and then goes
Members
right to
and SWAN community forums, yeah. If you click there, you'll get the documentation and then a big old orange button to take you straight to the forums. And again, you do need to contact help at swanlibraries.net to get a login.
Uh-oh. We'll have to fix that link.
Oh, weird. We will need to fix that.
Yes. No, it's good to publicly display a failed link because now we know, oh, good.
Yeah, now we know
We're
exactly where to fix it.
Help ticket from coming in. We're going to fix that. So again, it's under members, SWAN community forums, and then go to forums, but not right now. Let's give us a few minutes to get that fixed. Okay, any other questions about forums or stuff you might have for Tara?
Just for those that are dependent on that link, I mean, just if you could just go to forums.swanlibraries.net, you'll be able to reach it. It's a standalone site.
Now.
It's fixed now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Tara.
We're gonna prove it. Let me refresh
this. A little refresh there.
Yeah, let me refresh this page. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So now we know how to get to it, and it works. All right, SWAN web series, just please do submit a presentation idea. These are great ideas to share. 30 minutes, what are you doing? What are your virtual services? What's your summer reading program going to look like? We want to hear from members, and we will help you get your material prepared, and we will navigate, do the recording, do all of that for you. So please fill out that form to be involved in the web series. And this week we have two coming up. The CMC Cataloging Maintenance Center is going to give an overview of their services tomorrow. And Amy Franco from Glen Ellen is going to talk to us about compassion fatigue, which I'm sure we are all needing this workshop right now. And I think
All right, we're
done.
at the end, Dawn.
Yay.
So this meeting is at its weekly meeting is at its sort of end point. As always, if you have questions or need any help from SWAN at this stage, feel free to use our online help system. You can email us, and we like to hang around on the chat. We're seeing a lot of questions coming in. I'm hoping our staff are getting used to the question answer interface enough to be able to provide some answers back to some of the questions that have come in. That said, I think, Dawn, I don't know if you want to end the recording and we'll call this a wrap.
Yeah, just a couple more things. Again, reminder to get to the community forums, go to the SWAN support site, members, SWAN community forums, and question on how quickly the recordings become available. We start the processing immediately afterwards, so hopefully by mid-afternoon it should be available on the COVID-19 Fireside Chats page, and that recording will be posted right here. And the slides for today, including the PowerPoint in case you guys want to use anything for staff training, are all available.
Yeah, it's already up.
Yeah. All
Very
right.
good.
Thanks. I'm going to stop